This is my friend and also community owner, David Roden. Come on up with me, David, if you would, please. And for those who don't know, my name is Spencer Roden. David and his wife, Judy, developed a community on the outskirts of Chattanooga. I have 4 communities, 3 in the Atlanta area and 1 in Texas. What I'd like to do is, first, of course, is just welcome everybody to SECO. By the time we finally count heads today, I think we're going to be over 250, and this is the largest group that we've ever had in any of our SECO meetings. What I'd like to do is tell you just a little bit about the background of SECO. And we're having some technical problems with the computer, as you probably saw. So I've got to kind of pay attention to the screen here and also look at what we've got back over here. But as many of you probably know, SECO is an organization that we started about 6 years or so ago. And as this slide says, SECO from the beginning has been something that we did as community owners for community owners. Our intent was to put together a program where community owners, especially small and mid-sized community owners, could get together and we could share information with each other. And where this came from is a number of us would get together on an informal basis from time to time. And what we found invariably is that we were all dealing with the same problems. We were all talking about the same things. Not necessarily at the same time, but frequently somebody would bring up an issue and somebody else would say, you know, I dealt with that myself a couple of years or so ago. And it was a great opportunity for us to compare notes, compare experiences, and help each other, share information. So about 6 years or so ago, David said, why don't we try to put something together like that on a larger scale instead of just a half a dozen of us getting together. Let's do it on a bigger scale. So about 6 years ago, we did the first conference. We actually called it a symposium, I guess it was. And then the name SECO came about a couple of years later. But about 6 years ago, the first group got together. It was about 50 people. We all enjoyed meeting new people. And we accomplished the objective of getting people together and sharing information. So it went over really well, and we've done it every year since then. And as I say, this is our biggest yet. Last year we had 175 people at SECO. This year we're at least 30, maybe 35% higher than that. And if we keep growing at this rate, there'll be about 350 people in either this room or one like it next year. So let me tell you just a little bit about the background of SECO, what our thoughts are, in addition to what I've already said. As far as what we hope to accomplish with SECO, we hope, as the slide indicates here, to educate, to inform, to inspire community owners. And we identified some objectives, some ways, if you will, that we hope to accomplish that. One is to encourage networking. Second is to promote the community series homes, the new homes that the manufacturers started building about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that are specifically aimed at communities. And of course, what you have out in the parking lot today is an example of that. We've got 5 really beautiful homes that are all specifically intended to go in communities. We also want to talk about and do whatever we can to facilitate the acquisition of communities and help with the financing, the management, and the sale of houses. We also, as community owners, want to provide affordable housing. And generally, we want to improve the community segment of the manufactured housing industry to encourage everyone, all of us, to be responsible business owners and managers. Some of the key elements that we think are important in SECO is, as I said a while ago, small and mid-sized community owners and managers. What you're going to see over the next 2 days are a lot of panel discussions. We like to involve community owners instead of just having one person up here giving a presentation, and we have a few of those speakers, but we also like the format of panel discussions where more people can participate. We do, as I say, have some specialized individual presentations. For us, the Community Series House, being able to have the houses on display where people can go out and look at the features and look at the options and look at the price point and so forth, is really important to us. So the Community Series homes are important. We also think it's very important to have vendors here. We really appreciate the effort that the community, the manufacturers, as well as the vendors make in coming to SECO. But what you see out here are a number of vendors who help us one way or another. Everything from accounting to products to services that help us operate more efficiently. We also have a number of sponsors. Obviously, we truly appreciate the sponsors being involved in what we're doing. And lastly, I just want to comment on the fact that we are a not-for-profit organization. One of our objectives this year is probably going to be to become an actual nonprofit. All of us who are involved, and I'm going to recognize all of the folks that are responsible for SECO being what it is, but all of us pay just like you do to attend. And our objective with SECO from the beginning was to raise enough money to cover our costs and to carry us through the next year. So in that sense, the more we can have in the meeting, the more revenue we can generate from people like sponsors or vendors or manufacturers, the lower the cost is generally for the community members. And our objective is to reach out to as many community members as we possibly can. And lastly, because we are a nonprofit, because we're trying to be as open with you as we possibly can, we also are transparent in terms of our finances, and I'll show you some of the financial numbers here in just a second. Our focus, not only this year, but in previous years with SECO, has been to fill vacant sites. And I realize that that's a big reason why a lot of you are here, both as manufacturers and as well as community owners. I realize I'm preaching to the choir when I talk about why we fill vacant sites, but just to put us on the same page, we realize in doing so that we increase our cash flow, we reduce our common area expenses, we increase the value of our community, we upgrade our community with those newer houses, and we attract a better clientele. And I would imagine that all of us who have been in this business for more than 10 years or so are aware of the transition that has taken place with repo houses, where at one point we bought used houses, repo houses, and we saw for a number of different reasons those repo houses become more expensive and more scarce, more difficult to buy. So for that reason, many of us switched over to buying new houses instead. In terms of how we attempt to accomplish that objective, obviously the new houses are a big part of that, the Community Series houses. But none of us can do very much without financing. So obviously we have to talk about how we can acquire those new houses, and that's a real important topic to us. Once we have the houses and we have financing to buy them, we obviously have to think in terms of selling them. So marketing is very important to us. Training of our personnel at our properties, the people who actually sell the houses, is important to us. Qualifying the prospects. It doesn't do any good to sell a house to somebody if they are not qualified to buy it and they default, and all of a sudden we get a brand new house back. So knowing which prospects to deal with and qualifying those prospects is important. And also in terms of dealing with those prospects, all of us, I think by now, know that the SAFE Act was passed in 2008, followed almost immediately by Dodd-Frank, and the financing that we used to do as community owners is essentially no longer possible unless we hold mortgage loan originator licenses, which is a whole different challenge. So one of the very popular means of essentially financing houses for people for a number of years has been this alternative of lease option. we're going to be talking about that as well. These numbers are not quite accurate because more and more people keep coming in, but as of last night, we had 245 people registered for this event. Approximately 60% of those were community owners. So we're pushing 150 community owners out of our group, and we're now over 250. I haven't seen the last count from Genevieve, but I would imagine we're up to about 255 or 260 now. That is, as far as we know, one of the largest organizations of community owners anywhere in the country. Approximately 22 states are represented. Over the next 2 days, you're going to hear from approximately 60 different people who are going to be up here on the panel talking about one subject or another. I've already commented on the fact that we have 5 community series homes out here in the parking lot. We've got about 35 vendors. I think we have 1 or 2 more that actually came in today. I said vendors, I meant sponsors, and about 25 vendors. As I mentioned a while ago, one of our objectives is to be transparent when it comes to our finances. We want all of you to know that nobody's profiting from what we're doing. As I said a while ago, we're paying just like you are. Our objective with SECO is to simply break even with our finances and have enough money each year to carry us through to the next year. And that takes about $10,000. So in terms of expenses, I thought you might be interested in where money goes for an event like this. The biggest segment by far is food and beverage. I think it actually cost us about $80 a person to have the lunch today, the reception tonight, the other lunch tomorrow. Hotel fees and taxes are a significant expense for an event like this. Event planning is a almost full-time job. I can't begin to tell you how many hours Genevieve has spent over the last literally 10 months to get us to where we are now. So an awful lot of time goes into planning the event. We've also got things like technical services, audiovisual services, and signage and advertising. In terms of revenue, more than half, but just about half of the revenue comes from what each of us pay as attendees. You can see there with the pie chart that about half of the revenue also comes, though, from the display homes, the sponsors, and the vendors. And looking at this another way, if it were not for the revenue that we got from the sponsors and from the vendors and so forth, the cost for you to attend something like this would be about double. So we, as I said a while ago, really do appreciate the contribution that our vendors make and our manufacturers make, and our sponsors make. This year, and again, these figures are not quite right. Revenue will go up a little bit, and expenses will as well. But as of yesterday, I guess it was, we were showing a gross profit for this event of about $14,000, and that is enough to carry us through to next year. So as a result of where we are now, you will see SECO 2017. Again, I want to thank the manufacturers, the sponsors, and the vendors. I sincerely appreciate all of your support here at SECO. I want to thank all of you for being here. And I'd also like to recognize our group of community owners who are instrumental in the planning and execution of SECO. So if you'll bear with me just a second, I'd like to introduce each one of the people who are involved. If you would, please hold your applause until they all stand up. Jeff Bice, Steve Case, Ron Cobb, David Green, Don Hudgens, Bob Love, Chuck Meek, Cole Phillips, David Protiva, David Roden, Judy Roden, Bob Stovall, Ann Cobb Scott, Mark Titshaw, and Jay Zanman. So please join me in thanking them for all that they have done. also like to recognize 3 individuals who are particularly instrumental in SECO becoming what it is. First is my friend and fellow community owner, a guy who doesn't need much introduction, George Allen. George, if you would please stand, I appreciate it. Another person I want to thank is Marjorie Barbaran, my right-hand person. As you can imagine, being involved in something like SECO takes a great deal of time, and not only Marjorie, but my entire staff ends up doing an awful lot of things that I could have done or should have done myself, so thank you very much. And lastly, where is Genevieve? I would like to recognize Genevieve Cattell. As I say, you couldn't begin to imagine the amount of time that she has spent over the past 10 months or so, and will continue to spend, I'm sure, for SECO17. For those of you who have not met Genevieve, this is Genevieve Cattell. Flowers.
Oh, thank you. That was a surprise.
Totally. Genevieve?
Genevieve.
Don't
Yes.
stay here. Stay here.
What, you want to get a picture?
No, just stay. Don't leave.
I'm going to put another 17 steps on my Fitbit today.
Where are you going to put it, David? Here?
Oh, leave them here. Yes.
Just hang tight or don't leave.
Oh, I guess he wants you to sit down.
Sit down.
Anyway, as I said, Genevieve has spent a great deal of time over the past year putting on SECO, and thank you very, very much, Genevieve, for all your help. I think I'm getting close to the end. Yes, this is where I started, so we are ready, I guess, for my colleague, David Roden, to come up, and we're going to get started with the program. So thank you very much.
Gary, could you come up here, please? Real quick, some housekeeping. Raise your hand if this is your first time to SECO. Would you please raise your hand and let us? All right, that's great. Thank you for coming. Those that have already been here, thank you for coming also as well. The purple shirts that Spencer introduced to you, that's the SECO team. You're the first time here. If you've got a question, any question at all that we can help you with, find these purple shirts. Find out. If we don't have the answers, we may know somebody that does, so we'll help you that way. But get with us if you've got any question at all for anything. Also, I got stuck with the video camera this year. On our website, we're going to have a better video page for you and for others in the future. The purple shirts may be coming around and asking you, if you have something good to say about it for a testimonial, if you'll get with them, they're going to call me. We're going to come do 30 seconds. So please, if you got something good or a comment about us, we'd like to hear from you. So with that being said, I'd just like to go off script here a minute. In addition to what Spencer said about our history, it did start about 7 or 8 years ago talking about with GMHA, how can we meet up in the top end of Georgia to get help? Because nobody was around, we didn't know. And at that time, that guy said, well, you need to talk to a guy named Spencer Rohn. I did, I called him and we started talking about this, and that's what Spencer was saying, how this developed, in that we share information, and I guess Spencer's probably the best person I've ever met, that he will share everything he has with you to help you. And it's just phenomenal what he does for this, and we actually started this in a room just a quarter the size of 50 people, and it's grown to this, as Spencer said, maybe one of the largest in the nation because of what we're doing now. So leading up to these things, as some of y'all know that have done these things, I've heard Spencer say for the last 2 or 3 nights, 3 hours sleep. Genevieve, 3 hours sleep. doing 25 copies of the flyer that you get, going back and forth, trying to get it all right. I know he was working down in Destin last year on this to put these things together. So it's no small task what he's taken on himself to do, and Genevieve now has joined with us. So we want to thank him for, in just a small way, for doing that. So our group, the Purple Shirt guys, have got together and collected a little money, and we want to present him with a certificate for a wine club that he will get 2 bottles of wine every month. And he could share it with us if he would, but I don't expect to get a call on it. So it's just a small token of our appreciation for him. We also, with our group, the Purple Shirt guys, would also like to present Genevieve our thanks as well, because she has been a tremendous help, and we really want her back next year. So we've got a little something for her, and Jay Sanders.
Thank you. We have to have a couple things. One, like David said, is for Genevieve, and we're giving her a certificate for $100, which I'm sure she's well deserved, and probably a lot more than just $100.
Well, thank you.
That's for you. And then, what Spencer didn't realize, he's really done most of the work here. You see a group of 13 or 14 people up there on the screen, but what he didn't tell you, because he's honest, is that he did most of the work, and we just kind of followed. So to show our appreciation, even a little bit further, we have a couple more things. One is this T-shirt that says our logo on the front, and then Mr. SECO on the back.
Thank you very much. Wow.
And then Spencer's been so dedicated to this industry for years. We're just a state organization, but there's a much larger organization, a national organization called the Manufactured Housing Institute. And we all chipped in a little more money. I think some of us gave 30, 40, maybe $1 to get him an annual membership at MHI. So Spencer, there's another certificate. Thank you. Lastly, we also picked up some more flowers for Genevieve, because we really can't thank her enough for everything she's done.
Thank you, everyone.
Let me just say, I really do appreciate it, and I had no idea any of this was coming, so thank you very much, guys. But I will tell you that this really is a team effort. Genevieve has put in an awful lot of time, and other guys have as well. So it really is a product of a great deal of love of labor, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay.
Everyone, I'll be out there if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Genevieve.
Bye-bye.